The Viking window trick that outsmarts modern burglars. There's a survival secret hiding in plain sight, and it hits with the kind of quiet brilliance that makes you stop and grin. It's bold, it's simple, and it came from a people who lived in brutal cold, fought in chaotic raids, and still managed to engineer homes that were practically anti-intruder fortresses. Long before alarms, cameras, or reinforced frames, Viking households used a window technique so clever it still beats most modern security setups today. And the wild part? Almost nobody remembers it. Let's dig into this forgotten piece of old-world genius and see how a 1,000-year-old idea can still keep your home safer than half the stuff in hardware stores. When most people think of windows, they think glass. Transparent, fragile, a literal invitation to trouble if someone decides to smash their way in. But the Vikings saw windows with a different mindset. A window wasn't a viewing screen. It was a controlled opening, a defensive feature, a pressure valve for light and air, not an open invitation to peek inside or test the frame. So this shift in thinking is, well, really the foundation of the trick. The Vikings designed windows that looked harmless from the outside, but actually worked like a trap for anyone bold, or, maybe just stupid, enough to try to force entry. At the heart of it all was a counterintuitive idea that, honestly, modern burglars hate. The smaller the opening, the harder the job. Viking homes use these extremely narrow window slits, sometimes, believe it or not, no wider than a man's palm. These weren't decorative. No, these were strategic. A small window meant several powerful things. It was impossible to climb through, it was tough to reach through, and it gave defenders inside the house a clear advantage. Imagine being a burglar trying to squeeze your hand through a slit that barely gives you knuckle room. Even if you could, you'd be fumbling around blind, hitting nothing but wooden bars or angled shutters that flexed just enough to frustrate you, but not enough to let you in. And those angled inner shutters. That was the next level of the trick. Instead of fragile panes, Viking windows used wooden shutters that closed inward, not outward. This subtle flip matters more than most people realize. A shutter that closes inward can't be pushed in by an outside attacker. The force only reinforces the latch, driving it deeper into its slot. If someone tries to pry it, the angle forces their tools to slip. It's like trying to pry open a door that's designed to shove back naturally. Simple physics, brutally effective. Some homes even use double shutters, an outer weather shield and an inner lockable one, creating an air gap that acted like a built-in alarm system. Break the first layer and, well, the noise alone woke the whole house. Modern burglars rely on speed. They want to get in without a struggle. The Viking setup, though, forces them into a slow, noisy, awkward fight they'll almost always abandon. Here's where the trick gets surprisingly sophisticated. Viking window slits weren't placed randomly. They were angled downward from the inside. This meant light could enter the house, but outsiders couldn't see in unless they pressed their face against the wall like a confused horse. When you can't see inside, you hesitate. You just don't know how many people are home. You don't know where they are. You don't know what weapons they're holding either. In the Viking Age, that kind of hesitation could get you killed. These days, it sends any intruder walking fast. This angled design also prevented burglars from using basic tools to hook latches or unlatch shutters. They simply couldn't see the mechanism. Once again, visibility becomes a weapon, and the homeowners controlled it. Now, just think about the average modern criminal for a moment. They're looking for houses with big windows, predictable latch placements, and, well, fragile frames. They expect to be in and out before anyone even notices. But when you apply the Viking window concept, even in a modern home, you totally flip the script. A narrow, angled opening is honestly nearly impossible to break through. Interior closing shutters, they really resist brute force. Hidden latches, they deny visibility and leverage. Suddenly, noise becomes unavoidable. Entry time just skyrockets. And, burglars lose interest. This is the same psychological chokehold used back in World War II to slow down enemy soldiers. Deny visibility, deny speed, deny confidence. If an intruder feels even 10 seconds of uncertainty, they bail. That's not theory. That's old-school field reality. Here's the beauty of the Viking approach. You don't need a medieval house to use it. Modern versions of this trick show up in security upgrades people overlook all the time. If you want the Viking advantage, you recreate 3 simple principles. First, shrink the opening. Not literally shrink your windows, just reduce the vulnerable entry area. Use internal wooden shutters with minimal spacing. Use lockable inserts. Use adjustable slats. Limit reach and vision. Second, angle the inner panel. Even a slight downward tilt blocks the line of sight from outdoors while keeping your interior bright. It also weakens any leverage a burglar tries to apply. Third, make it loud to break. Use layered shutters or frames that naturally amplify noise when forced. Vikings did it with wood. You can do it with modern composite panels or reinforced inserts. When a burglar encounters a window that refuses to cooperate, they don't push harder. They leave. Security experts still study these psychological choke points because they work. What made Viking engineering so impressive wasn't complexity. It was the refusal to rely on one tool or one material. Everything had a layered purpose. Walls held heat and slowed intruders. Roofs kept snow out and insulated sound. And even the windows, the smallest, simplest feature, were subtle weapons of defense. Most modern systems fail because they assume burglars think like honest people. Vikings assumed the opposite. They designed homes expecting trouble. And, they built them so well that the trouble usually backed off. This window trick survived centuries, not because it was pretty, but because it solved the exact same problem we face today: unwanted entry. And it solved it without electricity, glass, or, any fancy locks. Just logic, craftsmanship, and a little attitude. If you're watching this on Legacy of Survival, well, this is the kind of real, durable wisdom that gives you an edge. The world keeps changing, but human nature doesn't. Strength doesn't always come from new tools. Sometimes it comes from old thinking, sharpened by harsh living. If you want more forgotten tactics, smart survival upgrades, and history that actually works in the real world, make sure you hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with someone who loves this kind of knowledge. Your support helps keep these old secrets alive and helps us bring you more of them.